A proper death means returning to the Erdtree. Have patience until the time comes and the roots call to you. Today, we're celebrating Arbor Day. We're talking about FromSoftware's very own Tree of Life. Uh, Arbor Day, it's kind of not really indicative of. There's not a lot of very positive quotes about the Erdtree because of the game that it's in. Uh, but, and we're just trying to get you to get out there, maybe plant a tree, help plant a tree at least. I mean, come on, it's the least you could do for Arbor Day. But I'm here with the wonderful Christian Ashley. How are you doing, Christian?
Man, I'm doing all right. How about you, TJ?
I'm good. I'm good. And like you said, I'm TJ. If you've heard me around, I'm usually not in this role. We're doing this because Christian's schedule has been a hectic, and as an Arbor Day gift, I'm hosting for him. So I hope you have your Arbor
Best
Day
Arbor Day
gifts
gift
lined
I've
up.
ever gotten.
Yeah, yeah, you're welcome. But what have you been geeking out on lately?
Well, the second season of the slightly soft rebooted Doctor Who just came out. First episode was fine. It was a fine addition. Not the best one, not the worst one. How about you?
Yeah, for me, I'm kind of all over the place. I'm in my Minecraft phase right now, so I'm just playing but it's not. I don't have it like deep in myself, I'm not launching my own world and building in my own world. It's always a friend's world. So
Ah,
it's not quite as bad as it could be. I can only play when he's online. So
okay.
that outside of that, Ichi the Witch, I had fallen super behind
Oh,
on. Love
great
Ichi the
new
Witch.
series and Jump.
So good. So good. But if you are on a laptop, please consider rating and reviewing our show on Podchaser or Good Pods. This helps the show gain recognition. It makes it easier to find us in search engines. If you're on your phone, please consider rating, reviewing, or commenting on the show on Apple Podcast or Spotify. And that's the same thing. We're just trying to manipulate algorithms. You know how we do. Uh, Jonathan Augustin, this is for you. I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for supporting us on Patreon. It means a lot. And if you want your name in this slot, you can support the show for as little as $3 a month. And you can do that on Apple Podcasts, Captivate, or Patreon. So let's talk about Arbor Day. And by Arbor Day, I do mean the Erdtree, because
Yes.
let's be honest, Arbor Day is Arbor Day. But it's a great excuse to talk about our favorite tree, maybe. Uh, Probably not. I don't even think it's my favorite tree in the
Oh.
game, actually.
Ooh. Oh yeah. I think I know what you mean.
Yeah. But what's your experience with the Erdtree? What was that like for you getting into Elden Ring and discovering this thing?
So, caveat here, we're always talking about when we're talking about a FromSoft game. As part of what they build in their world, there aren't quest objectives, markers. You know, you can go into one area of the game and suddenly an NPC you were working on a quest with is dead and you lose access to him if you're not reading the guide online. God help anyone who doesn't do that. And there are crazy people out there who do, and I don't understand it because I'm a completionist. I want to get everything done. But also, as part of that world, is the idea of if you're not reading every single item in the game, you're not going to 100%, and even then, you're not going to 100% everything that's happening in the game. So I don't know if you don't go to the catacombs of dead black skeleton guardian who's a what's it and kill 100 skeletons, just get a 1% drop rate of the cod piece of black skeletons, you're not going to know all the lore that's going on in this game. So if we miss something, that's why. So to actually answer your question, the Erdtree, I mean, it's one of the center points of the game is you're moving around and you look in the distance and you see, goodness gracious, what that giant gold thing? Oh, it's a giant tree. That's pretty cool. And as you advance in the game, you get closer to that tree, wondering, "Oh, when am I actually going to get near this thing?" And there's little trees over here that have the golden seeds in them that help my flasks. So maybe that improves me even more if I head all that way until you learn this is where everything kind of went down. You've got Marika, whatever happened with her, Radagon, whatever happened with him, all merging together, prevent people from using the Erd tree for what it's being used for. We can get that in a second. I think it serves magnificently in the game. It's like a central focus point of I need to go that way at some point in time. And then when you actually get there, it's a, oh man, this game got a little deeper than I expected.
Yeah. Yeah, I really think they do a phenomenal job here. When you start Elden Ring, you can play through the tutorial if you read the message that says, "Hey, the tutorial's down there," and fall into the tutorial cave. You can also, I know I did my first run. You can choose to get a little key as
No,
your starting gift, and you can do a whole dungeon before you actually enter the world of Elden Ring. But when you do,
God bless you.
you, you take this big, huge elevator up. It's so long, and then you open the door, and the skyline is dominated by the Erdtree, and it's immediately like, hey, there it is. That's the goal. You don't know it yet, but of course you're thinking like, I'm gonna go to that tree, right? And
Yeah,
the entire game, uh, you know, they reference it. They reference the grace of gold, and I don't know, for me, I heard the grace of gold, and I assumed it had something to do with the giant golden tree in the skyline.
fair.
I'm not sure if that's true for all people, but for me, it was you start the game, here it is, go there. So that's what I did. I tried to get there, and I got very distracted because Elden Ring is huge. But
Indeed.
you know, it's from software. It's open world for real this time. So the fact that I think they knew they wouldn't have the linearity that usually helps their level design. So we're like, well, we gotta make this pretty obvious, you know?
Yeah. Like you'd have to be fooled to keep going right and go to Kylie this early in the game. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's that giant tree you got to head towards instead.
yeah. Or fall into that trap chest, which I'm sure most of us
I
did.
avoided that one.
I didn't. I did
But
not.
man,
Not the first time.
what a terrible experience.
Awful.
Like, oh gosh, I can only imagine because you go there to higher level and you haven't even learned that those enemies, if you have the wrong kind of weapon, you're just going to keep whacking them and it's going to bounce off of them. You did like next to nothing to them.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love the character design in the game. Just because it's intuitive, like it makes sense. You're not thinking about that because they're video game enemies. They're from software enemies. Like I'm gonna go hit him and it's gonna hurt him. If you had
Yeah.
played Demon Souls before
Mm.
Elden Ring, which most people haven't because most people haven't played Demon Souls, even with the remaster, uh, that's a new concept to you for this game. Because Demon Souls is the only other one where it was that drastic. I walked in there with my guts' great sword, uh, my own Dragon Slayer, and because I will admit, like the second thing I did after I got into Elden Ring was look up where that sword is, and then I didn't look anything else up after that for my first playthrough. But I needed the sword, so I looked it up.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm like, my sword's 20 pounds, and these guys just aren't being hurt by it at all. But it makes sense because you look at them and they're stony. They look like they're hewn from the rock that they're mining. I love that bit of Elden Ring, but this episode's not about Elden Ring. It's about the Erdtree, which
Yes.
is in
In
Elden
Elden
Ring,
Ring.
but it's not the same. So, Christian, why do you think people should care about the Erdtree?
Well, just from a lore perspective, this is kind of what a lot of this hinges on. You've got, and this is me doing research because I definitely didn't pick these things up in the game because I don't read every item. Or if I do, I forget what I just read 5 minutes later. And you've got this whole spiel. If you actually are paying attention, there's this entity known as the Greater Will. And it, he, she, whatever, is kind of the originator of the world because there used to be this other entity out there known as the One Great, who's kind of like a almost demiurgic god in your more Gnostic kind of view. And the greater will superseded the one great, tore him open, and kind of created creation through that process. There's more nuance there than what I'm getting to. Just this is for simplicity's sake. And as things evolved, things came along, worlds were created. Our world here, where John Elden Ring will live. You have the
Mhm.
greater will descend, and part of that is raising people like Marika into godhood and allowing for the planting of the Erdtree itself. And through the process, also forging the Elden Ring for which this game is named. So if you don't pay attention to that, you're going to play the same game I did, but you're not going to get as much of an appreciation for why things are happening. Why are people fighting over this thing? Where did this giant tree come from? What are the mythological references that George R. R. Martin was using here instead of actually finishing the book series he's known for? You know,
I think rightfully so. I do think Elden Ring, if he ever finishes Game of Thrones, I think Elden Ring will still be better than that last book.
oh, no doubt. Like, I'm glad he worked with it. Like, you can see his hand here. You don't see where his hand was told no, and I'm grateful for that. But for the most part, he works really well when he's making a mythology.
Yeah, yeah, and it's really funny. You can just if you've read George R. R. Martin, you can tell that he came up with some of this stuff because I wish I'd written down a list of the names in Elden Ring, which is a lot of what he had to do with it. But we've
All the
got
R's, G's, and M's.
America, Mariga, uh,
Melina.
Melina, Millicent, Millennia, uh, whole bunch of M's, whole bunch of R's, Radagon, Radon,
Godfrey,
Radala,
Godric.
Godfrey, Godric, Godfroy, God. There's so many ridiculous George R. R. Martin shenanigans, of course,
Yes.
which is JRM or
Yes.
GRM. So it's very subtle, really. Uh, but you mentioned, inspired mythologies. This is, of course, referential to Yggdrasil, the Tree of Life from Norse mythology, and it's different. It's definitely different because if you do some digging and you listen to the many hours of Erdtree specifically lore dumps on YouTube, uh, because that's really what it takes to understand what we're talking about here. We do not have enough
This
time on this
episode,
show.
yeah, not possible without Bhati Vidya.
Yeah, Bhati Vidya. Who's the other one? Hawkshaw or something. He's got
I
good
think that's
videos.
right.
He's just less recognizable. Uh, they have put hours of research into this, and the Erdtree is actually like a parasite, and it's absorbing the life from the people in the lands between. It's a bad thing. The Erdtree is bad, but you have to suffer its consequences until you can no longer suffer its consequences. Which, if you're not aware, we are going to spoil this
Oh, yes. And then some.
because yeah, the main difference to me, what makes the Erdtree stand out from other Yggdrasil inspired trees is that our main objective with the Erdtree is to burn it down.
And you get to choose how you do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's different. What about you? Is there any other like Yggdrasil esque tree in games that you can think of? I don't want to count God of War because that's literally Yggdrasil. That's not
I
that's
mean,
not like inspired. That just is Yggdrasil.
that's kind of cheating. Man, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but like you raise a really good point. As opposed to what Yggdrasil is supposed to be in your Norse mythologies, at least agreed upon canon, it's supposed to be kind of life giving, life bearing, and it holds up the 9 worlds, 10 if you're in Marvel. I think that's the retcon. And giving them their own spheres where they're supposed to be. You've got that nutty little squirrel that's always trying to chomp on it. What is his name? Like Ratatosker or something like that.
Yeah.
There's also a serpent down there. It's also a way to get knowledge and all this mess. It's supposed to be kind of a crucial, good figure overall versus we have here, where it comes off kind of in a sense like an angel of light in many respects. That's actually, a Satan or demon in disguise, where it gives you good things. You can attain, godhood, but it's also leeching away from the world itself, empowering itself. And you have the conflict between the two fingers and the three fingers over whether the world needs to burn or whether just this tree needs to burn, and we can start over from the ashes because we have seeds everywhere. And maybe we can make a better tree this time. Or who cares about that at all? You just want to bring darkness and destruction in the world. Or you just really want your wife who really love you. So you go on her path and get a cool sword out of it and a marriage.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And you go to space. It's the
yeah.
best ending.
Oh, absolutely.
It's easily the best ending and the coolest. You
Bar
do the
none.
most stuff, you know?
All those cool places you get to explore. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of
Worth
the
it.
best areas in the game.
Yes.
And some of the best boss fights in the game. Shout out
Mm.
Radon.
Oh,
Which,
yeah.
we're already spoiling it. So shout out to the first Radon fight in the lands between. Man, that shocked me. Getting to the end of the DLC and it's like, oh, it's Radon again. Awesome.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And
Oh gosh. Oh man.
he's with Mikella. We thought Mikella was a good guy. Oh, apparently not.
No, Michaela, just like the Erdtree, actually. And I think it's a really important analogy. Because Miquella, we see Far from Grace, whatever, but the public perception of Miquella is exactly like the public perception of the Erdtree because it's worshipped. It's this is good. This is foundational to our country, our world, and the whole time, it's got a much more sinister plot. You know,
Absolutely.
really good DLC. Also, the DLC does have, uh, I want to say, I think DLC has my second favorite tree in the game. The Shadow Tree, the Skidoo
Ooh.
Tree, if you will, which is a failed attempt to grow an Erd tree.
Yes. And it's no less magnificent, even though it's its total and complete opposite. It's still serving many of the same narrative beats that the Earth Tree itself is doing, just in a corrupted place that was, where our deities in this world kind of came from in the first place, and how that went to hell, and how they abandoned it to its own, and started massacres and genocides over there because they didn't want it to be there anymore because of massacres and genocides that happened to their own people. That DLC, if once again, if you're actually paying attention, if you're putting the work in, you're gonna get a lot more out of it.
Yeah, yeah, and it's I don't know. I love the style, the storytelling style of FromSoftware. Uh, but that's probably because I was sort of raised on it. Like I played Dark Souls 2 for like 4,000 hours in high school. It was like 2,000 hours, but
And
it's Dark
see,
Souls 2, so that counts as 4.
yeah, I have high praise for this game and other games like it. This is one thing that always irks me. Is that I have to look things up. Like, look, I
Yeah.
don't need things handed to me on a silver platter, like just spoon feed me. Like, make me do a little bit of work, sure. But this is too much work. This is how the hell was I supposed to know I was supposed to do that? Why would I talk to this person over here who has nothing to do with this person over here so that I can advance both of their quests, even though they have no knowledge of each other as far as I know? And how does this person relate to this person? Well, we'll get to how Marika and Radagon are the same person, but also not the same person in a bit. It, it's infuriating, but when you actually read what's happening, I'm fine with it. It's just too much to actually get there. Once again, shout out Vati Vidya. Without you, I'd be lost completely.
See, I really do think it's a good thing for the game, and especially in Elden Ring. In the Soul series, Sekiro. Well, Sekiro is different. Bloodborne, Sekiro is like completely different. Still a great game,
Yes,
but
absolutely.
you actually do get to just be a part of the story and not just your story. Uh, I think it encourages exploration in a way that is
Mm,
really unique because it's not requiring you to do the exploration, but if you find something that confuses you, you're like, oh, what did I miss? So you go look for what you missed, or at least I did. Because I don't know, that's the way I like to experience the game. It's clearly not for everybody, but I like it a lot. It gets you invested in the world, and I feel like the information sticks a lot better when you have to go find it and read it for yourself. It also, to me, feels like kind of like being an archaeologist, but really easy.
Ooh,
Like, like I'm not trying to downplay archaeology because you dig up stuff and then that's it. You have the stuff. We get descriptions from the stuff. It's awesome. It's great.
yeah, yeah.
I
No,
like it a lot.
I like how you word that. I mean, because there are different ways you can play this game, and they're all perfectly valid. There's the I'm just playing the game for the game and combat, and then I don't care nothing about the story. There's the people who care more about the story and not the combat. There's the people like me who care enough to look at certain places and stop if I don't know where I'm going unless I look it up. And there's more people like you. It's like I'm looking at every nook and cranny. I'm going to get every single thing out there because I'm beyond a completionist. I'm a FromSoft completionist. And all those games, like you're going to get something different out of the story, but it's perfectly fine to do it that way.
Yeah, it's really special to me. Just because you get rewarded. You find a lot of stuff that a lot of people would miss. If in one run of Elden Ring, you can finish the game with 3 max level normal weapons and 2 max level what are called somber weapons, but only if you explore, only if you really look for it.
Yes.
So it rewards you, and it does even more so in the DLC, which a lot more people I think had to look up how to do it in the DLC because both of my roommates did. And I was like, I'm just playing the game. I just found all the fragments because I found them. But
Well, it doesn't help either in that special circumstance that if you advance too far through no fault of your own, you're cut out of like 75, 80% of what you could do because
yeah,
there's a shattering or however the heck they word it. It's like, how's I supposed to
so
know that?
good, so good. That when that happened, I was actually watching my roommate play it, like because he was just trying to finish the game. I'm trying to
Yeah.
play the game, the whole game, and I saw that happen, and I was kind of shocked. Like it was amazing to see. It was like, oh, like it scared me a little bit.
Oh, that's how you know, like things are about to go down. You better get
Yeah,
ready.
yeah, it's so good. Uh, but back to the Erdtree and its relation to Yggdrasil, it does actually kind of fulfill the same role as Yggdrasil in the sense of holding up the realms, because the branches of of the Erdtree, they don't exactly hold up the consecrated snowfield or Fair Missoula, but they do hold secrets up there, and I don't know what they are because I don't think they're going to release another DLC, but I bet there's something up there. However, it's got to be, right?
Yeah.
But it'd have to be a prequel. No. Then,
Yeah.
let's see.
Unless something wacky happens, which I wouldn't
Yeah.
put past them.
But if you remember, about 22 minutes ago, I mentioned the roots. Once you start going underground and you find the roots of the Erdtree, you'll find that quote that I said at the beginning, which you just find on a soul, a collectible soul. It's in the description. You find death, and not just dead people. Death as a
Yes.
manifestation, the destined death, even, which is actually a different place. But like this is where it's a whole thing.
Don't worry about it.
It's a whole thing, and it's under where Godfrey died, which is what triggered the shattering. Full circle, like a ring, an Elden Ring.
As it were.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But also another fantastic area to explore, and the Erdtree's presence in the world is made extremely clear. Uh, Everything is connected to the Erdtree in one way or another. And down here, you'll find a couple of Crucible Knights, which you'll find around, but in the burrows, I'll say it's called. Uh,
Sounds right.
what is that area called?
You
I
talking where
remember
you have to go
Fia's
for
Domain.
Fia's quest line?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, you find two named Crucible Knights, and their purpose was to combat the Erdtree. And you're like, that's interesting. How weird. And if you're down here, you already kind of know that's what you're doing. Uh, that is your goal. And this is one of the ways you can do it is by bringing back the Destined Death and doing Fia's quest line. And I don't know. I think it's the bad ending, so I don't do it.
Oh yeah, I do it to get the runes and explore, but I don't pick that ending when it's my time before
Yeah.
the end.
Like I'll go to fight Fortisax,
Mm,
but I don't want that ending. So, uh, and speaking of endings and the Erdtree, uh, the Two Fingers convinced Marika to nurture the Erdtree or grow the Erdtree, or it's a mess. The Erdtree started as the Crucible, and you're gonna have to go
yeah.
look it up. It's a lot.
Yes.
But the Three Fingers, the secret other Three Fingers, not they don't make a hand because they're all digits. There's no thumb. But the Three Fingers you find out in the your pursuit of the many endings of Elden Ring, the Frenzied Flame ending, there's a different way to burn down the Erd Tree.
Yes. That doesn't require to sacrifice a Melina.
Yeah, we can make this whole place crazy with the Frenzied Flame. So it does matter what you use to burn down the Tree of Life, the focal point of this entire world. Because
Yes.
if you just go the standard route, the route most people will do, especially on their first playthrough, you will sacrifice your maiden, your traveling companion, what have you, your Emerald
Which
Herald,
is what she
your
wants.
Firekeeper, which is what she wants. That's what she wants to happen, and she considers it a great slight against her if you don't.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's awesome, so it's worth doing at least once. But you will sacrifice her to the Forge of the Giants,
Hmm.
and then yeah, trees burned down. Awesome, cool. Now you can walk in there and kill God.
Typical Japanese RPG.
Typical Japanese RPG. But at least in this one, you're not a child.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, it's like I get it a little bit more. You're not Ness. Uh, but generally, that is the point of Elden Ring is to go above the cycle and break the chains that are keeping the people and I don't know if it's right to say, but enslaved. They're not free.
No.
They're living. They're happy. No one can die. Well, they're not really happy, but no one can die. You know, that's pretty much all you need, right? Wrong. So everyone has their own reasons for you to break the cycle and become the Elden Lord and dictate how the world progresses, which is why I burn it all down and move away with
Mm.
Ronnie. That's not my problem. I just got here.
Yeah, and that's a huge part of the conflict too. You bring up the fingers. We've got the two fingers who've been guiding people in their own ways and manipulating all these different demigods to do their bidding. And then as you get also into the DLC, Shadow of the Erdtree, you also meet the mother of all the fingers, and there's a huge implication there that she is actually a goddess born of the greater will for some unknown purpose, perhaps to do his will in the world. And that's what's caused everything to go to hell is people listening to people they shouldn't listen to. And of course, the three fingers ain't much better because in their idea, it's kind of like the Altmer in Elder Scrolls. Is the idea of oh, we're in this mortal plane we shouldn't be. We were all complete at one point in time. We were in the heavens, so we need to get rid of this world right here, and then everything will go back to the way it was. We'll ascend. We'll be pure spirit beings in a sense.
Yeah.
And if you're not paying attention, that sounds pretty enticing until you realize what you have to do to get all the way down there to the literal depths. Like you have to, there is no way of accidentally picking that ending. You have to choose,
Not one.
and yeah, it causes a
And they
lot of
ask
death and
you.
destruction along the way. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Then immediately
yeah,
after you do it, Melina shows up and she's like, "Hey man, what's
not
up?
cool.
Why did you do? What is wrong with you?"
And then two, I mean, as well, like we learn through the story as well, through reading the item descriptions, God help us, that they have manipulated Marika, who has become essentially the goddess, the god of that world, to do what she does, but not her, just her, also all the other demigods, and as well as Radigan, who is not her first husband, but the second one that she had. And oh no, sorry, Radigan was with Renala. Then he went to Marika. Sorry, I'm getting all my R's and M's and G's mixed up. God, how did that ever happen? Imagine that. And through this process, you meet people like Goldmask, who is just a guy just standing. He's look withered, decayed, and he's got his promised disciple there right beside him the whole time. And all he does is just T-pose in front of the Erdtree, worshiping it, reflecting on it, being scientific about matters, being faithful in his religion. And as part of their quest line, you learn Radagon and Marika are one and the same, but they're also not. And Marika caused a shattering because she was kind of done with everything, but Radigan still wants to protect it because they had a huge conflict over that. So while she's stuck up there, he is until you release her, and then you have to have the final fight with him until you get to the Elden Beast, which is the true form of the Elden Ring in many respects, thanks to the greater will.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And also, I'm glad you brought up Meteor, the fingers,
Yeah, yeah.
the giant hand monster, the mother of fingers. It's also implied pretty heavily that that is the kind of thing that Radon was trying to prevent.
Mm,
Was, so foreign alien beast coming down and taking over the world. That's what Radon learned gravity magic for, was to
yes.
hold back the stars, which include these threats, which also include other threats that you do get to fight. Both Estelles are
Mm.
these things. And I just Radon is such a good character, and his story becomes so tragic.
Oh, yeah. Just manipulated at
Even
every turn.
Yeah, even before the DLC came out, you you kill Radon, and then meteors just start destroying stuff. And it's a video game, so not that much, but a lot more than they would in most video games. Because after you kill him, there's a huge hole in the ground, and you go down there, and there's like 6 more areas to find.
All part of
But
Ronnie's quest to defy the greater will, to defy the two fingers, to bring a new hopeful age of humanity, the age of stars, where
the
there's no
age of
guarantee
stars.
things will be better, but there's no guarantee things will get worse either, which some people and me take as a better way to end the story than just dealing with the Erdtree itself.
Yeah. Hey, I got to marry the pretty blue girl.
Yeah,
That's a happy
I'm
ending
a
for at
promise.
least
I'm her
one of us.
consort. And I didn't have to mentally manipulate her to become my promised consort, unlike a certain other someone.
Yeah. Yeah. Chew on that. Also, uh, the DLC makes me feel a lot better about killing Millennia.
Oh, gosh.
Also, the fact
What
that
a
I like
tragic story.
Radon makes me feel a lot better about killing Millennia because she deserved it. Every bit of it.
She deserves it for how many times it took me to kill that woman.
Yeah. I don't have that problem.
Waterfowl
I'm a
dance.
great sword
I'm a dead
user.
man.
She just has no poise. You just hit her with a 20-pound sword twice because my build really comes to fruition in New Game Plus where I can have 2 of them and
Ooh.
power stance them. It's so fun. It's such an easy way to play the game. Like it, I don't want to say it's that easy, but it really is. When you're dealing that much poise damage, you just kind of walk up to something and boom, then its poise is broken, and then you just do it again. It's great. It works really well on Millennia. I struggled not nearly as much as most people on that boss fight, just because I love heavy weapons.
And she's got
Heavy,
my
heavy
number.
weapons.
But all it
Yeah,
takes is to
I've
kill
got
her
hers.
once.
Yeah, yeah. You have to kill me every time. I have to kill you once. So it's really not fair. But she definitely deserved to die. Not only for what she did to Radon, but for that absolute villain that she was trying to protect, and also failed. By the way, like, why are you still? I have never known defeat. Like I know, like no one's ever killed you, but your
You
brother is
technically
not
haven't
in that
lost.
cocoon. Yeah,
Nope.
Like you
And
definitely have lost.
then you learn too. We all thought Moog was just this evil guy, just dealing with blood and everything. It turns out he was also being manipulated by Michaela. How the heck you want to pronounce that name?
Yeah,
So, it's
awful,
like still a
awful
bad
person.
guy, but was made worse because of
Yeah,
someone else.
Moog, and all the omens were just kind of mistreated because they were different. And
Yeah.
Mikkela's like, I could use that. I can use that against him. Everybody always already hates him. I can just
Oh, and then I'll shed parts of myself just to be all noble as things go on in the game. It's like, oh, okay, I know what you're about.
yeah, yeah. Charlatan, a liar and a charlatan. Uh, but if you're still keeping up, that's pretty much the plot of Elden Ring. Uh, as far as I'm concerned, at least. But I do feel confident saying Elden Ring for me is a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Do you disagree?
No, on this one, no, we are in complete agreement. As much as there are things about the game that frustrate me to no end, certain boss battles that I'd go and murder some Japanese businessmen and developers for what they did. Look, this is a fun game. It's rewarding when you actually look and explore places. It cares about you in that way. It doesn't care about you as far as like telling you where quests are and how you can advance them. That's what the wiki's for. Thank you, Extra Life. You're a god saver. Excuse me, a time saver in that regard. But the combat's amazing. You can switch up and do anything and it be viable. And you have if something is really hurting you, there are other ways that you can change your build, and it's in game possible to do it. So it even helps you in that regard. You can be an invader. You can be someone who just punishes invaders. You can. It's a ton of fun. Depending on how you want to play the game, there's multiple ways to do it. Like we mentioned earlier, like this is a 10 out of 10 game, hands down.
Hands down. No argument. Don't try. I'll smack you. Uh, what even is there to say? This is the culmination of From Software's many years of beating down the downtrodden.
Oh
Us.
gosh, yeah, I've certainly lost more hair as a result of them.
Yeah. And as far as I'm concerned, Dark Souls 2 was my favorite Souls game until
Mm,
Elden Ring came out. And then we've done a bit of Dark Souls 2 revisionist history and people are coming around on it again. But very famously is the most hated entry in the game in the series.
yes,
Uh,
I was about to
then
say that's a
people started
controversial
saying,
pick,
yeah, it is, right?
but
But then
but
people started saying Elden Ring is Dark Souls 2 too, because it is.
yeah, yeah,
A lot of the things
yeah.
people like so much about Elden Ring were in Dark Souls 2, and they took them out for Dark Souls 3 because people didn't like Dark Souls 2.
I'll say outside of 3, it's the one I played the most out in the Dark Souls trilogy is 2.
Yeah, I think 1 is the worst. That's not what
Oh
this
my
is
gosh.
about,
That
though.
that that is the definition of punishment.
1's the worst. Dark Souls 1 is the
Yeah.
worst one in the series. For me, I understand if you like it more than 2. I'm not saying that's a crazy opinion. I know most people like it more than 2. 2 is my favorite one though. So, I think this whole episode's kind of been at least a little bit philosophical, a little bit
Okay.
theological cuz
Hmm.
uh, what Elden Ring kind of feels like to me is what I could easily see it being mistaken as like the church because I mean it is a church, you
Yeah.
know. And it's kind of easy to see how through the lens of the game, how easy it would be for an establishment like the church to manipulate the public. Thankfully, the church is not the Golden Order. Maybe if they
Yeah.
were, we would have cooler swords.
Well,
I'm
that's
not
a
saying I
common
would
theme
prefer it,
in
but
FromSoft
yeah,
games. You've got the Healing Church, Bloodborne. You've got the various religious entities in the Dark Souls series over the different countries as time progresses in the Age of, you know, Fire and Dark. Yeah, Age of Fire and multiple games. And in here, Yeah, it's easy to see why they're being manipulated because they're told something they want to believe in. This tree is life-giving. This tree is going to preserve you. You need to protect it. Here's the right way you can do magic. Here's the wrong way to do magic. And then you've got Turtle Pope, what is it, Muriel, my guy,
Hmm.
always being there. Oh, so they say it's a heresy. But you know what? You're my dude, so I'm not going to say anything against you, unlike everyone else you bring it to. Best
Yeah,
dog in the game.
best dog in the game. I've seen so many shirts that are like, dog, and it's Muriel, the tortoise pope. And I kind of want to get one. I'm not a big graphic tee guy, but
Yeah.
I love that. It's such a good bit. Uh, but we are going to start wrapping up here, and we do have a bonus question. We're going to answer this at the end for all of our supporters. And today it's going to be, which From Software world would you most like to live in, and why? Not a lot of good options.
No, absolutely not.
Not a lot of good options. But do you have anything to recommend for us here today?
Yeah. I'm back home right now. My brother and niece came as well. So he, my dad, and I, they had not seen the first season of Last of Us. Rewatched it with them. Really enjoyed doing that. The first episode just came out, and we're still at the part where things are okay. After this, I'm probably going to lose interest, but keep watching. So right now is a good time to be a Last of Us fan. After this releases, probably not.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. For me, I've already mentioned it a couple of times, uh, because I was geeking out on it. But Ichi the Witch,
Mm,
you gotta
solid.
tap in. Ichi the Witch is good. Ichi the Witch is
Only
good,
30
and
some
it is,
chapters.
yeah. So far, it's dealing with kind of a similar thing, like we were talking about earlier, where false god, or false hope, or at least in this very moment, is what they're dealing with. There's a magic posing as doing something good, but it's actually horribly bad for everyone.
Hmm.
Uh, really good series. If you're not a manga reader, not sure if it'd be a good first one, but it definitely won't be a bad first one.
No, there's way worse ones.
Way worse ones. Uh, if you are on a laptop, please consider rating and reviewing the show on Podchaser or Good Pods. This helps the show gain recognition and makes us easier to find in search engines on your phone. Rate us and review us. Comment on us. Tell us why we are wrong and why we stink. Uh, on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That helps a lot. And Daniel Sigmund, thank you. Thank you for supporting us. Uh, it means the world. We wouldn't be able to do it without you. And if you want your own shout out, uh, $30 a month. That's all it takes. Venmo me directly. I think that's what we're really going for here. And
Yeah.
fellow tarnished, stay safe out there. Don't get Erdtreed.